Alright, this is no secret. It's all over the internet. And like they say, it's not illegal to do, it's illegal to operate it. So it's kind of a touch and go. For instance, CBers are not supposed to be using this on CB. This conversion, the Mars conversion, opens it up for CB as well. And amateur radio operators are really not supposed to use this on the CB frequencies, 11 meter. As long as we maintain our integrity, and I was to keep this set at no more than 4 watt output, I'd use it on CB 11 meter. But you kind of want to make sure. Again, things are done for reasons, and CB's gotten a little sloppy over the years. FCC kind of said, have at it. We don't care anymore. Unless you start interfering. Alright, so anyway, did I put the right battery in it? I did. Okay. If you hear a little noise in the back, that's somebody on the Victory Net. I did check in, so I gotta listen for a few seconds. But other than that, let's get back to this.
Anyway, good to hear you. Thank you. Okay, let's see. We're on 7 yes, right.
Now, like I was saying, it's not illegal to do what I'm doing. However, it would be illegal if you were to want to talk on it. Then it can be illegal. Well, it can be. It is. It's actually illegal for amateur radio operators to talk on it, as well as it is for CBA operators to talk on it, because it has the ability of going beyond the power ratings of CB radio. Now, like I said, a few years ago, FCC kind of said, have at it, do what you got to do. And now, what has to be done here is, you may not be able to see it, because I can just about see it, but down in here, down inside that slot, deep down inside there, there's a diode. And that has to be removed. The problem being is, you have to be able to see it enough to remove it. So, do I want to? Well, you know what, I'm just going to, for the hell of it, I'm going to take the bottom off the radio. So meanwhile,
let's go with the devotional this morning. It's not a very long one.
Alright, anyway,
Where justice is denied.
CB, the FCC more or less said, have at it, guys. We're not going to bother you unless you start bothering other frequencies. Now, why they wanted to keep you within a certain guideline is because they may want to use a frequency nearby, and CB is kind of a dirty frequency because they don't put a lot of money into the radios, and they want to stop you from splattering or disturbing other frequencies, which can very easily be done on any of them, even your amateur radio stuff. So, as long as you don't interfere with anything that's local, or so-called frequencies that are people that are paying to use, or government frequencies, you're really not going to have any problems, to be honest with you. But there are reasons. One is they wanted to have those abilities, the ability to use it themselves for different other things, because frequencies, as you know, everything now is being done on frequency, everything. Alright, see, this much made it much easier. So now I can actually see the diodes. Let's see if I can zoom in enough so you might be able to see what I'm talking about. Whoop, whoop, whoop. This thing is not going to go in that far. It's going to start getting blurry. Let me loosen this up just a hair, see if I can at least get close. Well, that's not going to be anywhere near close. You're reading Gatorade. There we are. A little bit more. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go. Okay. Now, whoop. Come on. That doesn't want to do it. Now, this does have a micro zoom or something on it, but I don't have time to get into that right now. And I don't want to use anything metal at this point. So, I want to point at something here, but I don't want to take a chance. You know what? I'll just use a screwdriver tip. I mean a paintbrush. These little things that I'm touching over here are about the size, well, maybe even smaller. About the size or smaller than a pinhead. Here's a sharpened pencil, kind of give you an idea if you know what I mean. So they're small. Right. That's why I don't want to take a chance of trying to sneak in there and try to, because what I have to do is I have to lift a leg on one of those things. I can remove it completely, but I just soon just lift the leg. This way, if I ever want to put it back, I can hopefully just be able to put it down and throw a quick tack on it. But that's it. Now, that's what has to be unsoldered and either removed or lifted one side off the board. And that, I believe, is diode 54. Again, this is not a big secret. This is all over YouTube. You can look up the Icom 718 Mars mod or conversion or 11 meter conversion, whatever you want to call it, and that's what it's going to be. And that's it right there. Again, you're not seeing it now because I got the magnifying glass in the way. Okay. Right there. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. But for some reason, that does not look right to me. Let me get the schematic out. I don't think it's that one. I really don't. I don't think that's it. And I'll tell you, this is so damn small. If I were to take it off, I may not be able to get it back in place. So I want to make sure. So luckily these radios come with schematics. So I'm going to look into this real quick and I will be back. Well, as I suspected, let me turn this down a minute. On the Icom over here, which I'm going to get to in a minute as soon as I get the program downloaded for that, so I can kind of give you an idea what I was talking about. There's been changes in some of the Icom on this particular radio, and the version changes as well as the little changes they make here and there on the board sometimes make it a little tough to just go by what you may see on YouTube, because what may work on one may not work on the other. So what's going on over there? So meanwhile, I got a few things to do today after I'm done kicking things around. I do have to make myself another cup of coffee though. Okay, so getting back to this for a minute. I did a video, well, I started to do a little video yesterday. What is today? Well, what is today? Because yesterday was, yesterday was yesterday and today is today.
Medic 3 back in service.
Medic 3 back in service. Well, first of all, it's 11:15, so I've definitely got a late start. It is January 25th, 2018. It's cold outside. It's 30 degrees, but it's windy, which makes it colder. It's 59 in here. I can live with that. The sun is out, wind is blowing, my voltage is up. But that still didn't tell me what today was. It told me what the date was. Well, today must be, today's Thursday. Whoa, okay. Today's Thursday. This week went by fast. Meanwhile, yesterday, I started looking at this thing because I was going to convert it. Now the story on this, I'll run through it again, not to bore you guys. This is a 718, an IC 718. The radio I was going to buy was an IC 78. Now if you look at the two radios side by side, they're identical. They're also identical on the inside, and with a little bit of work, and I mean a little bit, but it is delicate work. This radio, the 718, will do the exact same thing that the 78 does. Now the 78, you can't buy that one, the IC 78. You can't buy that one unless you are either affiliated with the government in some way, or you're buying it for export only, meaning it has to leave the country. They can't ship it within the country unless you can give them some government ID of sort. Numbers, whatever. Well, I was going to order it until I found out that it's $1,000 for the IC 78. This one, which needs to have just one little thing done to it, was $600. So for $400, you know what? I'll take the IC 718 and I'll do that little so-called mod to it, and then I basically have a Icom 78 in disguise. And that's kind of how that works. The other one, they charge more for it because it's made supposedly for government or export use only. Now that's another thing. Sometimes it just drives me nuts. But meanwhile, what I'm doing to this radio is not illegal. However, it could be illegal for me to talk on it, all right, on what I'm making it to talk on, if you know what I mean. So, and again, there's a gray line there. You know, we're on the fence. For instance, the frequency that I'm going to use this on in case of emergency is a frequency that is allocated for that through some government stuff. Well, the so-called government stuff supposed to be only made for that. And it can't transmit on the ham stuff. So we have one radio that talks on this part of the frequency that they use with their so-called frequencies. And then there's another radio that has this much on it that we use in the ham frequencies. Well, this conversion is going to take this much and put them together. Well, legally, somewhat legally. I'm not supposed to talk on these channels unless I'm on a radio designed for these channels. You follow me? I'm not supposed to talk on this radio on these channels. But who knows? You follow me? If I'm approved to talk on these channels, what difference does it make? It's the same radio as the other radio. The other radio does the same thing that I'm going to make this one do. I know it's a little hard. It may be hard. I may be explaining it in the wrong way, but that's kind of like what it is. So meanwhile, I was looking at this the other day, and I says, "Oh, there's a thing on YouTube about this," and they're showing removing one of these diodes down here, and I'm saying, "Well, the other day, you'll see it on film. That doesn't look right. It just doesn't look right." So I pulled out the schematics, and I started looking at, if I can find the damn schematics. Well, you know what? Take my word for it, because I don't know where the hell I put them now. Anyway, and I said, you know what? I'm right here. You know, I'm right. You know, it isn't that one. So I'm glad that I didn't just go by what the YouTube said to go by, because it would have been a pain in the ass to try to put it back, especially with the equipment that I have, because I haven't got the equipment to do that tidy board level with this new stuff out there. I mean, if it was a regular, you know, resistor, diode, transistor, you know, that I'm used to, it would be a piece of cake, but it's not. All right, listen, I'm going to set something up here real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, I don't know if you're getting a glare or not, and I'm not going to try to make you dizzy at this point. I have that little camera hooked up that I had bought. However, you know what? It's not bad. It really isn't. I think it cost me $5, $6. I don't remember, $9, whatever it was. It was real cheap. I got it at that new Frog, NEWFROG. It's a Chinese company, but I don't want to get into all that right now. I'm not big into Chinese stuff, however, as you can see sometimes. But meanwhile, it's good. However, it's too strong. You have to be so damn close to everything that sometimes it's almost impossible to use it. Like right now, I'm about an inch away from that pound sign. So what am I going to have in between if it was to sit on the thing? Can't even tell what that is, but that's part of the Gatorade. So meanwhile, let me see if I can focus in on this real quick. Alright, see those 3 diodes? Alright. Now, let me get a pencil here so I can kind of hopefully get that in there with this. Thing is, when it's so magnified, and this is the lowest setting. On YouTube, it's set to remove this diode right here. That's a pencil, by the way. Very sharpened, very well sharpened. So that'll give you an indication as to how small that is. And I said, that doesn't look right to me. It just didn't look right. Just looking at the board, it just didn't look right. So I got the schematic out. You might as well look at something while I'm talking to you here. So I got the schematic out. And again, there's a pencil point to give you an idea on. Tell the physician I recommend to use the regenerator until Zahir is stabilized. Yeah, right. On this thing. That's why it's hard sometimes to really use right there. That's a pencil point. Flopping around on that. Where are we here? Come on. Trimmer! Which I don't need to touch, so I am not going to touch. Don't touch things unless you have to. Right. Meanwhile, get you away from that for a minute. Come back over here, guys. There. Sorry, I don't want to make you dizzy. So I'm saying that doesn't look right. It just didn't look right. That's all there is to it. So I said, let me get out the schematic. Let me look. Let me do some research. Let me see. Because again, I don't want to start taking something out of there that I'm not going to be able to get back in there. Because that piece is so small that when it's on the tip of the solder iron, I'm going to lose it. And the solder iron is it's just not going to happen. You know, I mean, my solder iron tip is bigger than the piece, so there's no way that I can solder it back on there. It's just not going to happen. As it is, I don't want to take the one that I believe that it is, which is the one I'm going to take a chance on. I'm going to try to just lift off one side of it. Basically, it's sitting there soldered on both ends. I just want to unsolder one end so I can lift it off a little bit and just leave it like that. So if I do decide I want to put it on in the future, all I got to do is push it down a little bit and tack it quickly, and it should be okay. So I don't want to take it off completely. I don't want it to be missing. And the other thing is, if trying to find it, you can stick it on a piece of masking tape and mark it, you know, and have yourself a good sized piece of tape. But I don't have the solder iron. Even though I have one here that's got a fine tip on it, I've got two of them here that got so-called fine tips, but these tips are bigger than the part. So these aren't really made for this anymore. I mean, a lot of this stuff isn't even done with so-called solder irons. It's done with heat, I think it's 10-tex or something. They make one. It's like a little heat gun. You know, that blows heat, kind of like. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So I think that's what it is. So that's the one I'm going to work on. The one that I showed you. The one that I feel that's right there that you probably, well, I'll try to show it to you this way. Hold on, guys. Again, like, you really don't care, and I know it. But if I can zoom in with this a little bit. So once I zoom in so far with this, it stops. And it gets blurry and it won't refocus. These are the three diodes that I just showed you with the magnifier. The bottom one here is the one that there's a YouTube video out there saying, remove it. Well, you know what, that's not the one in this particular radio at this point. So I always say, when it's little stuff like that, really double check. Just don't go by the first video you see if you're looking at videos, because you're going to get your ass in trouble. You know, if you can't do schematic work, you may want to just do a lot more research. Try to find somebody that may have one that looks like yours inside or something like that. Alright, now I don't know if you can see that or not, and I'm dancing around here with a tripod stuck. Getting in the way. And I'm trying to look through the camera here and yet not keep the lens glaring. Now let's see if I can zoom in at all. Alright, see what I did with that middle one? Whoop. All I did was lift it up on one side. So if it doesn't work, or for some reason I have a problem, all I have to do is gently bring it down and touch it. I mean, like, well, my snaps aren't working, but that fast with a solder iron. And that would put that back. So anyway, that's done. So now we're putting this back together. That's why I kind of like these actual, these little drivers. But Alright, no screws are left, so apparently I got all that right. Let me put this back in the charger. Alright, let me make some room, I'll be right back. Alright, on page 17 it actually starts to help me. It talks about the dial. It doesn't talk too much about stepping it up into a faster mode, or actually making it slower, more coarse, because sometimes it's so sensitive it's hard to get it right on. But it does tell you about direct entry, which is good. There's a little button over here that says F-INP/ENT. Well, the ENT would be enter. You push that once and it blanks out the frequency to zeros. Then you can enter in your frequency and hit enter, and it puts it into a frequency mode. So that's where we're at now, as you can see. I'm on AM, by the way. That's the frequency. It will receive, well, they say it will receive. To be honest with you, I didn't check on these frequencies apparently, but you can't transmit on them until you do the mod that I just done. Now, to make sure that I did the right mod, if I key this mic right now and say something or whistle or whatever, that meter down here, I don't know if you can actually see it or not. Well, I'm sure you can. Alright, it's not a meter like this, alright, it's bars. That should work. It works. Hello? Hello? Hello. So we're transmitting. So we're all set. So the mod was correct. So I was right. Okay, so now we know that's done. So the radio's working. I'm going to turn it off. And now it's just a matter of getting things where I want them and starting to kind of organize a little bit. Because it's done. Actually, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to disconnect it from power. Let it drain. Okay. Where are we? Where are they, brother? Oh, there you are. Alright guys, we got it. I'll be back.